Folks production. In the mix. With the commish, Nate.
All right, everybody, welcome to Press Pass Live, your weekly podcast show for the OMFL, the world's longest online CFM in the world. Thanks for hanging out with me. Sorry for a few technical difficulties. I got to give up on 2K. I've been trying to mess with this thing for 3 days, all last night if you paid attention to the stream. A bunch of them that I deleted, even messed with it a little bit this morning before I got work started. Until I get a bigger computer, a better computer, which hopefully will happen this year, I got to give up on 2K. Gonna stream 1080p. We'll see how this goes. I am trying some stuff with the camera. We'll see if I like it or not, and get it all cleaned away and squared away for Kevin a little later tonight. But you didn't come here to hear me cry about these technical issues. You came here to talk about the OMFL. So let's just jump right into it. Trey, how you doing today on a Monday after Easter?
I'm doing pretty good. It was a rather quiet Easter, other than, going out with my little cousin to go watch the Super Mario Bros. Movie.
Nice. How was it? I've heard mixed reviews. Some people said they love it. Some people kind of said it was okay.
Depends on what you're going for. I thought it was an amazing movie, but I also 1 out of 10 because there was not enough Yoshi.
And there you go. Not enough Yoshi. You heard it from Trey right here. Watch at your own discretion. Let's talk about our favorite games from this last week or so. I've got to go ahead and show some love to somebody that doesn't get a lot of love around here. We're going to talk about Tim and the Los Angeles. I always want to say St. Louis. They haven't been to St. Louis forever. Los Angeles Rams. He beats the red-hot Tampa Bay Buccaneers 33-18. I talked to Kevin last night. He said he had absolutely zero answers for those defensive line. That user defensive tackle was just blowing things up left and right. And you can see it in the rushing yards here. Only 33 rushing yards, 275 passing yards, 227 for the Rams, 14 first downs to 16, but 6 turnovers. That pressure sometimes doesn't always just lead to sacks. It will sometimes just lead to bad throws, bad decisions, rush decisions, and you can see it here. The Rams with 25 and 32 seconds having the ball, 25 minutes and 32 seconds, so we've got a word there. Chandler Spencer with 2 interceptions on the day, but look at the Steve Ryder, who's played spectacular this season. 2 touchdowns, but 5 interceptions and 4 sacks to go along with it. Nobody really did anything spectacular in the run game. Taylor Porter, the tight end from Rams, 5 receptions, 163 yards. That would drive me nuts, not only to give up that many interceptions, that much pressure on the defensive line, but then to give up 5 receptions for 163 to the tight end. I would probably break something. Not even going to try this guy's name, but the right outside linebacker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers led his team in tackles, 9 tackles, 6 of them for loss with 2 sacks. I was going to also lead him in that. And then the interception leader is Terrell Burgess. Great win for Tim and his Los Angeles Rams. Congrats to him on a big victory. Give me your game of the week.
This is going to go to a lot of people that I'm probably hyping myself up, but it's actually not. It's my own game last week against Bird, because Bird deserves some respect after, the tale of 2 halves, as they'll call it. The first half, competitive. The second half, he took me put me in a little booster seat, strapped me in, gave me a plastic fork and knife, and gave me a piece of humble pie. It was,
what was the big turning point in this game?
Jem and Davis saying, "Hi, I'm going to play cornerback, and I'm going to intercept 3 passes on you, and you're not going to do a dang thing about it." Add that with the pressure that his defensive line was getting. I had no answers in the second. I couldn't do anything. he, like I said, he put me in the booster seat, strapped me in, gave me a plastic fork and knife, and gave him the piece of pie and said, "Here, have it."
Your stud receiver Williams only had 2 receptions on the day as well.
Couldn't get. By the time he got open, I was looking up at the sky, going, "Hi, birds, how's it going? Don't have any seagulls, please, because I don't want to be pooped on today."
Well, there you have it. That's our favorite game of the week. We've got 3 OMFL news from Tony Bono today, so let's just jump right into it right now, give you your first OMFL news. And when we come back, we're going to look at buying or selling teams right around 500. We'll be right back.
Thank you, Nate, and welcome to the OMFL News Break right here on Press Pass Live with yours truly, Tony Bono. And we're all about happy thoughts and sprinkles and unicorns and all that good jazz. But today, we're getting down and serious because guess what? We got a couple of what were you thinking coaches out here in the OMFL. And let's get to it. Mr. Rogers' neighborhood in the great state of Texas, over there running the Texans. What were you thinking? You traded a 77 overall, 99 speed guy to Mr. D Money. I do see that you got 1, 2, and 3 current draft selections. That was good, but giving this type of weapon to Mr. D Money is just it's cringeworthy. What were you thinking, Roger? You trying to kill us all? Anyway, I hope it turns out for Roger, because I know he's struggling like a couple other teams, and just like this guy I'm fixing to talk about right here next, Mr. Maniac and the Vikings having a terrible season, looking like he may have the first overall draft choice, and he sends it to the Bills for a defensive outside linebacker, David Ajabo, who is basically not very good. He is getting a second round pick, but what were you thinking, Maniac? Come on. I mean, you're going to have an impact player handed right to you for season 106, and now you're probably going to suffer the same fate in season 106 that you're facing right now in season 105. So you better have a really good import heading over into Madden 24, or you got some explaining to do, sir. All right, we'll get back to Nate and Press Pass Live. We'll be back shortly with another segment in the OMFL News.
Thank you, Tony Bono, for the OMFL news. And yeah, Maniac, what were you thinking? I could have told you that wasn't going to be a great player, but you just had to have it. So, sometimes we get the itch for those speedy defensive ends, and we'll even overpay for them for a little bit. All right, let's buy or sell a couple of teams that are right around that 500 range. Probably not going to do too many above 500, but what are some of those teams right at 500, right below 500? Some teams have played in week 8, some teams have had bye weeks, so you'll kind of get the picture here. Let's start with the Denver Broncos. They're sitting at 3-4, 202 points for them, 221 points against them. They're on a winning streak of 2 games. Are you buying or selling the Denver Broncos as an OMFL playoff team?
Given the recent competitiveness in the AFC, I'm going to be on the short side of selling. He's close to being in the buy range, but I just think he's in too competitive a division to be at a losing record at the midway point of the season.
I'm buying. We've seen Jay Glaze go on these runs before. He seems to be figuring a few things out on offense. I think that there's an opportunity with Kansas City maybe taking a step back this season. I know the competition level has grown. I don't think he's going to be a deep run team, but I do think that he will make a run and at least get one of those wild card spots. I'm buying the Denver Broncos. Next one up, the Atlanta Falcons. They're sitting at 3-3, 143 points for them, 149 against them, but on a losing streak of 2 games. Are you buying or selling the Atlanta Falcons?
I'm selling. You can't have an even record and not be having, at least at this point, you should have probably about 180 points. The fact that you have only 143 means your offense really isn't producing, plus the losing streak, plus you're in the NFC, which tends to have a need for at least 10 wins. Your gap's closing to get to that 10-win window.
Yeah, I want to buy this team. I've played him. He's been, a very, very good player. He had the winning season as he took over for Kobe. Things kind of got off the rails last season. He seems to have all the tools, but man, a 2-game losing streak is going to put me also in the sell category. There's just so many good teams, and to be honest, we're about to come up on a run of NFC teams here in a second that I can't buy them all. I got to sell somebody, and so reluctantly, I'm also going to sell the Atlanta Falcons. Seattle Seahawks are sitting at 4-3, 207 points for them, 150 points against them on a winning streak of 1 game. Are you buying or selling the Seattle Seahawks?
Tough. I played he's a challenging matchup, but I just, to the sheer fact of he let slip away the chance to take the division, I gotta go on the sell factor.
I'm buying the Seattle Seahawks. A very underrated defense. I like that he's only given up 150 points, I should say, 207. He's got all the playmakers. He can make tons of plays over there on offense. I like that he's on a winning streak. I think, look, there's going to be some ups and downs in everyone's season. I like the Seattle Seahawks, and I really like that offense that he's built over there. The Los Angeles Rams, and Tim, we just talked about him a few seconds ago, sitting at 4-3, 172 points for him, 166 against him on a winning streak of 1 game after that big victory against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Kevin last week. Are you buying or selling the St. Louis? I did it again. How do you do it so many times, Nate? Are you buying or selling the Los Angeles Rams?
I feel like I should be on the stock exchange because I'm just selling today. Ugh. As much as I want to give Tim the props being, my fellow Lions fan, I just don't see him holding up the momentum enough to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, this was a tough one. I wanted to buy. I really did, but I feel like what makes him so good is the use to those quick decisions. You got to be nervous when you start seeing tight ends lead the game in reception. So not saying he did anything wrong, so please don't take it that way. I'm just saying you start to get a little nervous, and that user defensive line, that can go one way or the other. I just don't think he's quite there yet, but I do think he's going to upset a lot of people's dreams as they roll into the playoffs. The Pittsburgh Steelers are sitting at 4-3. Man, talk about almost a complete rebuild. Penguins taking over for Outlaw, but as we expected, got the defensive thing figured out. 4-3, 189 points for him, 136 points against him on that losing streak of 1 game. What do you think about the Pittsburgh Steelers? You buying? You selling?
He's sitting currently in the final spot in the playoffs if we go right now. But will he hold up? He's one of the teams that I feel like could. But I'm still going to sell because there's still that offensive hit and miss scenario. And if you can't score points, no matter how many points to prevent from scoring, you're more than likely going to lose.
This is a tough one. We know the owner himself is a winner here, but 189 points, as you just said, that begins to worry me. Does he have enough firepower to actually make a run? I do believe the bottom half of the AFC is a bit weaker this year, so I'm going to go ahead and be a buyer on this one, but a little bit reluctantly, just because I think the bottom half of the AFC may be weak enough to allow him to sneak in there, even without a really, really great offense. The last one, actually, maybe we'll cover 2 more. I'm going to put you in a spot here. The Browns sitting at 4-3. This one I hesitated on. 196 points for him, 156 points against him. And I started to hesitate when we got to these teams because these teams that are always seem to be in the playoffs, they always make a run here. He is on a 2-game winning streak. I'm going to include him. Just because he's right here hovering around 500, though. But buying or selling the Cleveland Browns?
We saw it last season. He was at this very same point last season, and he almost took the division crown back from Little Koch. I think it's an easy buy for me.
I'm buying as well. I'm not quite sure what happened to start the season out, but he seems to have figured it out, and I do think he is one of the top owners here. Let's see if he makes a bit of a run. And here's the one that we're going to have fun with just because you're here with me. I felt unfair about this one, but we're going to go Detroit Lions 4-3, 1-game losing streak, but a very good game against a very good team. 186 points for you, 146 points against you. You're known for your offense, but clearly you're playing exceptional defense this year. You buying or selling your Lions?
I am going to be in sell mode until I beat D Money and D Wayne. So until that happens, I'm always in sell mode.
I'm buying the Lions. They're going to be just fine. The Packers, I have no clue what's happened to the Packers. He has taken a tremendous leap backwards. Yes, the Bears are very good, but the Vikings have a bit to figure out with that team, which was a little bit like the Steelers, a bit of a rebuild, built for a very specific style. I like the Lions. Very worst case, they're going to get a wild card, but look for them to go on a winning streak once we get to like week 9, 10. He's going to run off like 8, 9, 10 in a row and just go on a big run. I am buying the Detroit Lions. There you have it. Buy it. Go ahead.
So what you're saying, Nate, is I'm starting a streak against you.
I am the king of full restarts, resends for seasons. Like if you need a good fresh, Staples reset button, go ahead and come play me. I tend to get people off in the good area for their team. All right, when we come back,
that's you right after a bye week.
Ugh. Well, maybe you'll be rusty. I don't know. You play in a bunch of leagues. Maybe you're not. When we come back, OMFL News, Tony Bono, section number 2. When we come back, we're going to look at impact rookies. I want to unpack a few rookies that are already making an impact on their team. And then when we come back from that, it's going to be OMFL mail time. Turning it over to Tony Bono. We'll be right back.
And it's your friendly neighborhood Bono back with the OMFL news break right here on Press Pass Live. It's time to talk fantasy football in the OMFL. That's right, the OMFL Fantasy Football League is underway. We're in week 6. Actually, we're probably further along than that. But currently, the leaderboards that we have and the top players, thanks to Boss Sniper and a great job running the Fantasy Football League and his spreadsheet. We're going to take a look. But let's give Boss Sniper a hand. Good job on the Fantasy Football League and doing such a great job on it. At quarterback number 1, we have Kenny Dickerson of the Dolphins. He is your number 1. Number 2, we have Desmond Ritter, not Riddler, Ritter. And he's your number 2 quarterback. Number 1 running back is Jonathan Taylor of the Colts. He is a goal line TD machine. At running back number 2, we have 3, Marion Clancy, Najee Harris, and Breece Hall. Packers, Steelers, and Jets represented with those 3. We have a 3-way tie for number 3 running back. Your number 1 wide receiver is Mike Thomas of the Colts. He is also putting up phenomenal numbers and touchdowns left and right. And we have a rookie, wide receiver number 2, Tom Bradley of the Bills. Mr. Bill, great pickup there in the draft. And then number 3, we have Devontae Adams of the Raiders. We also have another rookie tight end, Taylor Porter of the Rams. Tim has been feeding him some Wheaties so far in season 105. And then at number 2 is Mr. Nate's Kryptonite, Kyle Pitts of the Falcons. Yes, that's right. He is at number 2 in the Fantasy Football League. Now moving on to the rankings so far, and I'm not going to name them all, but we're going to go through some. Duval is at number 1 at 952. Close behind is Kevin at 932. Lost at 891. Big Hurt at 875. Kobe at 861. Tree at 838. And D-Money at 825. Denver 810. Little Koch at 808. And Maniac at 797. And then I got to point out, Priest is at 17. Always seems to be last. I think he plans this on purpose. He's at 692. Come on, Priest. Stop being this way, man. Put me in a cheese bag. All right, just kidding. I don't know. Maybe. I could be. Could not be. Anyway, enough with me. Now let's get back to Press Pass Live. And Nate, take it away. We'll be back with another segment after a little bit.
There you have it. Tony Bono with the OMFL news. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. He doesn't know either. All right, let's talk about Impact Rookies, Trey, one of our favorite subjects. Kev, good to see you. Maniac, good to see you in the chat. They're surprisingly are not like these superstars, except for the skill position, which we tend to always see. Give me one of your Impact rookies to start out this conversation.
Just because I know it's going to annoy you because I've stuck to my game plan this year, I'm going to go with the fullback Cameron Reese.
Why a fullback as an Impact rookie?
Because a fullback that has 25 carries, 147 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 6 receptions for 39 yards and 2 touchdowns is, something that you don't see too often.
Mainly because he was supposed to be a running back. That's why. I got to go with the skill positions.
He chose to play fullback.
I got to go with the skill positions here. Tom Bradley for Buffalo, 707 reception yards. You heard Tony Bono talking about him on the OMFL news. This guy has stepped into Buffalo and begun to make plays for Bill. Just another playmaker. If you've ever played Bill, he likes to just have that opportunity to push you deep, be a big play threat on you, and he's definitely found that in Tom Bradley. And these are one of the few skill positions we see making a difference here in the OMFL, but definitely making a difference up there in Buffalo. Player number 2, who you got?
I gotta go to another AFC East wide receiver in Ezekiel Prince. 33 receptions, 485 yards, and 5 touchdowns. And I'm just gonna double check to see here, but I don't think he's in the starting rotation of receivers, so to have that kind of yardage is pretty impressive if you're not in the starting lineup.
From LSU as well.
Okay, he's the number 2 wide receiver but still, even as the number 2 coming out as a rookie, it's pretty impressive to have that kind of yardage. I don't even think Calvin Johnson had that kind of yardage at this point in the season in his rookie year.
I love Bill in the chat. He said he starts. And I can just hear the tone coming with that. Lyle Judge is going to be my number 2 Impact rookie out of Atlanta. Already 4 sacks in the season. And I know for sure I gave up probably 3 of the 4. This guy is just a powerhouse inside, outside. He kind of moves him around. He plays multiple positions. Kind of think of a poor man's Aaron Donald. That's exactly what Lyle Judge is for him. I think he may have actually got hurt in one of our games. This guy is a playmaker and one of these defensive linemen that I think you'll see for a long, long time here in the OMFL continuing to make plays. Let's go one more each. Give me your 3rd Impact rookie.
Gotta go to the Houston Texans and strong safety Devontae Warner. 65 tackles, 22 solos, and 43 assisted. 1 TFL, 1 interception, 5 pass breakups, and a fumble recovery. That's stuff you don't normally
for
see
safety.
From a rookie.
Yeah, and a safety, man.
That's like Sean Taylor performances.
Which does not surprise me. What surprises me is Rodgers' record. That is a bit surprising to me, but does not surprise me that he's got an Impact player. Listen, none of these quarterbacks or running backs are running away with anything. No one is super duper putting up crazy numbers, but I'm going to kind of put 2 together because I think these 2 guys could be a bit of a combination that we see for maybe a little bit. Well, I don't know. You can't bring both of them over into Madden 24, but he can see him continue to make an impact this season and next. That's Chandler Spencer, quarterback for the Los Angeles Rams, and Taylor Porter, wide receiver for the Los Angeles Rams. These are 2 guys that we've talked about in the past and guys that I think you'll continue to just that makeup between those 2 guys is really something special, and it's good to see Tim getting some good draft picks underneath his belt and being able to have kind of that foundation that he needs to be able to build that up. And there you have it. Impact rookies here in the OMFL season 105. One more OMFL news. When we come back, we're opening up the mailbag. We only got 1 question, actually 1 owner, 3 different questions. So now's the time to get those submitted in there if you want them, and then we'll put a bow on the show. So we'll be right back. Tony, take it away.
And welcome back to the OMFL News right here on Press Pass Live with the final segment of the day. Let's wrap it up with some random thoughts. The Washington Commanders are a surprising team in season 105. They are currently 6-1, fourth in the rankings. This team was originally ran by Penguins, who took over the Steelers, who are now run by Bird. And he is benefiting, reaping the benefits for sure from that roster build from Penguins. But his team is very deadly in that NFC East. And let's see what is happening behind the scenes. And it doesn't take you long to figure out that the defense is one that is creating turnovers. They have 21 interceptions, 7 fumbles, 28 sacks. That front seven is beastly. And we have, they've only given up 158 points, 766 yards rushing, 1,400 yards passing on defense. So that defense is coming after you and coming hard. On offensive side of the ball, the Commanders have been pretty prolific as well. They're not superior, they're not top 5, but still they are looking pretty sharp. They've scored an average of 35 points a game, 1,400 yards passing, almost 800 yards rushing, 11 passing touchdowns, 7 rushing touchdowns. And so that offense is moving on as well. And so it doesn't take much to see that the Commanders are successful right now, and they are making a push for that NFC East division crown. Moving on to the final couple last random thoughts. We have 3 teams with 0 wins, and we have 3 teams with no losses with perfect records. So it's a race to see who can get rid of the 0 off of their record to end the season. So who will be left standing with a 0 on their record remains to be seen. But that's it for today. So turn it back over to Nate and Press Pass Live. So we'll catch you next time right here on the OMFL News. Peace.
Thank you, Tony Bono, with the OMFL News. Week in and week out, the owners here put in so much, and I'm going to kind of tie that into my final closing statements. All right, let's get into the mailbag. We'll do a refresh after these 3 questions, but Cincy Bird gives us 3 questions to unpack here. He says, first, Cardinals, Vikings, Texans, all trying to get their first win still. Do you think they all 3 having similar situations on why they can't find a win? And who do you think will get their first win? So a bit of a 2-parter. Do you think there's a common tie between these 3 teams, and who do you think gets their first win?
It's hard to say because Deep's taking over a team that struggled entirely. Rodgers been with the Texans and had a miracle run to almost making the playoffs last year. And Maniac's taking over a depleted Vikings team in a tough division. It's almost 3 different scenarios, but almost the same scenarios. So I can see where the point being, but to me, I think it's 3 different reasons to why they're all currently without a win. For who I think is going to get the win first, that's tough.
Yeah, I'd have to have the schedule in front of me.
I'm just looking at the matchup. Maybe Minnesota, because depending on how Sims work, he might get a CPU Giants. Other than that, yeah, it's a tough one. They've all got a tough schedule.
I agree with you. I think if there is a common tie in all of them, I don't think it quite fits for the Texans. Cardinals, Vikings, it's offense, right? Cardinals, I would say, not only taking a team that was not built for him, but taking them over super late. I mean, literally as we were moving, the day we moved into the offseason. Also, just like transitioning into the OMFL, just rule set and whatever makes parity. But there's also a learning curve of learning how to take a team and maneuver them through. Everyone has a tough schedule. Very few people don't have tough schedules. Like everybody here could look at your schedule and go, God, that's a murder's row, because there are just lots of really good players according to our play style. Vikings, he's been here before. He's been a winner here before. He took over a team that had some tools, but those tools weren't his. He needed to go, shop for his own groceries, so to speak. And I think he's still trying to figure out like how to put those pieces together. You put in a rookie quarterback, if I'm not mistaken, it's just like that could be a disaster. And offense is failing him right now. Maniac is giving up a lot of points on defense, and so he's kind of on both extremes, and I know that by the end of the season he's going to find that middle ground. The Texans are the big head scratcher. Raj, I see you in chat. I love you, man. Hope you're feeling well. His defense is failing him, and I think my perspective of playing him, seeing a couple of his games, is he's so dynamic on offense sometimes. He likes that big play. It can get him out of a rhythm. It can get him to maybe not establish that run as much. And that defense has just been giving up too many big plays, long drives, lots of time of possession, and it becomes a bit of a cycle. So who gets their first win?
There's not one game where he doesn't have 30 points given up.
That's tough. I'm going to go Texans to get their first win, even though the Vikings wouldn't surprise me at all. The surprise if the Cardinals get the first win out of those three teams. Not that I don't think he's a good player. I just think he took over the toughest of all the situations. So we'll see exactly how that one plays out. 49ers, 5-2 versus Cowboys, 7-0 this week. I don't even know if this game's going to get played. Anything with the 49ers, I hold my breath. I just never know. If 49ers win, are they back to being the number one favorite in the NFC? What do you think, Trey?
No. I think D-Money was on a point last year, and the fact that his season got disrupted so abruptly in the playoffs, I think maybe even pissed him off even more. I think he's headhunting for a trophy, and if you get in his way, your head's getting taken off clean.
We talked about this in the board chat today, or this week, I should say. I don't know that he cares. I don't mean that in a negative way. I also, I don't kick it with him. We're not, super close friends. I think we're friends. I think I'm friends with everybody here. I try to get to know you all in a personal way and know about your life and where does the OMFL fit in that. And I spend that time in sending DMs and getting to know you. With that said, he's not my bestie. We don't kick it. I don't live near him, whatever. So maybe he does care, but his vibe, his energy is that he's just good at this, and it's not a big deal to him. And so I don't think he cares about being the number one. I don't think he cares about championships. He's just really good. I also have a bit of a, the last couple Maddens, he just kind of, I've stood by this, right? You've heard me say it 100 times. He's heard me say it. I feel like he wins the first one to prove a point, and then he takes the rest of the Madden off so nobody's on his case. I talked to an owner this week. Maybe this doesn't connect, but I'm going to connect him anyway. Talked to an owner just today who, I don't want to say too much because I'm not trying to give things away about who I'm talking about, but had a conversation with the owner, and the bottom line is when you win here, all eyes are on you. And usually people who are used to winning don't take losing very well. And you put those two in the same bucket and you get this ugly mesh of stuff. I just don't think D-Money fits that narrative. I think he just doesn't care. And my knee jerk of I'm rambling a little bit. I don't mean to be, but I'm tired of picking him to be the number one, and he checks out for the playoffs and we never see him, and it just never plays out that way because he's not around. So, look, Cowboys are 7-0. Even if they drop a really tough game against the 49ers, unless he's blown out, I still like the Cowboys. You can't turn a blind eye to what the Bears have done. I know I'm forgetting a bunch of good teams in the NFC. Bird's got his team, and the Commanders rolling at 6-1, I think. And so I think there's a lot of good teams. He's always going to be at the tippy top of that. Speaking of Bird and the Commanders, that's our last question here. Bird and Commanders are 6-1. Two-parter. Three-parter, I'm sorry. How has he had so much success so fast? Confidence in switching divisions or a whole new personnel change? What do you think, Trey, about Bird? You just played him. So what do you think about Bird and his new confidence level?
He took over a very well-built team that Penguins left behind, and I think as much as Penguins had an okay thing, I think this fits Bird's play style just from how I played him to a T. Because I felt like there was no errors that I could expose on that defense when I was playing him, and offensively, he was picking me apart like I didn't know what I was doing. I think it's a perfect fit for him, and that's something that we have got to worry about come playoff time.
Yeah, I think Bird has been a winner in the TFL. You know, with our rule change, the OMFL fits the TFL guys a little bit better maybe than it did in the past, even though, you know, I've had a few conversations with them. They still feel like we're a little too lax on a few things, but that transition and learning curve is a little bit less for him because the rules are so close. And then I think it's just like sometimes you just need another team. Sometimes teams just don't jive with you and your style and what you like to do and what you don't like to do. And so I think just getting a new team, getting to hit the restart button, getting a refresh just helps out guys. And so I can't tell you specifically. I haven't got to watch any of his games. I haven't even got to talk to Bird a whole ton. We talk in shooters from time to time, but I don't try not to talk OMFL in there. But I just think fresh start, a really good player. He's got a team that seems to fit him very well, and so he's playing really, really good football. That's going to bring us to the end here. What a show. We have talked our favorite games. We've bought or sold on teams right around 500. We've unpacked some impact rookies. We opened up the mailbag, and all right here at like 45, where are we at? 36 minutes. I think we're a little longer than that. I think it's more like 45 because we had a little snafu as we went live a little earlier today. But let's put a bow in the show with one final closing thought. Trey, bring us home with a closing thought.
To everybody, we've gotten a little bit of FPR stuff starting to come rolling back. That's
a lot of stuff.
Yeah, this should be by now. We're in, I think, our fourth or fifth season of the Madden cycle. This is the stuff that should have been ironed out, and you should have an understanding. So even if it's just take a few minutes, go through the FPR stuff, get an understanding of it. I believe, Nate, you did an FPR breakdown the other day. It's on YouTube?
Yeah, all 22. Blasted it out to everybody. Yeah.
Watch that, get an understanding of what we're looking for. Is that we don't have these issues that should have been ironed out. You know, I could understand season 1 with stuff, but now we're getting to these same issues, and we're 4 or 5 seasons deep into Madden.
Yeah, I to me, they're just to piggyback off of that, they're easy. And so if they're not easy to you, I need to know, because to me, even if you watch the all 22, which I hope you all take a minute just to, even if you're not struggling, just to understand kind of how we perceive some of these things, you know, these are easy concepts and I try to explain why we view these as issues and things that we should avoid. And so it feels simple. It feels simplistic in my response. And so if I'm just not doing a good job articulating what it is that you are lacking and to make the full adjustment or understanding of what we're looking for, then let's have the conversation. And I just, again, it feels simple. I was talking to an owner today who, you know, sets his defenses to base align, right? That's a setting that you can set. And so sometimes, or a lot of times, anytime you play man, it's usually going to bring that safety down to base align over the tight end or slot receiver or whoever, right? So if you're going to set that, you just got to, I've called 4-man plays in a row and that safety's been in the box 4-man play. I need to manually move them back, or I need to align a different way. Like, you just have to mix it up. The set it and forget it thing here is very few and far between, and you just got to mix it up a bit more. So I don't want to do an all 22 recap. Like, you can go watch it and hear my explanations behind it. But ultimately, I think my final thought is this has not been a good season overall. And I kind of hesitated because I've been thinking about my final thought all day and do I approach this subject. I like these shows to be positive and fun. We're all grown adults. You didn't come here to get, slapped on the hand, so to speak, proverbially and get corrected. But unfortunately, this is what I signed up to do, to run a league. And what you find is correction and people being hard on you or taking it too serious, other people find not fun. And so I'm trying to make an area where 32 different humans who have 32 different perspectives kind of agree this is the gameplay that we want. Let's move forward. We've also got a handful of owners that have completely checked out. Some have messaged me about taking breaks and time off. I want to be cordial and create that space. But ultimately, the other 31 guys here didn't sign up to play the CPU, and they signed up to play a human. And it throws everything off. Not only do I have to play a CPU or take a sim loss, which sucks, it gives those guys free losses, which gives them higher draft pick. It just affects all kinds of stuff. It affects playoff seeding. So then you get teams who maybe didn't really earn a playoff seeding and a team who maybe fought to get there didn't get in. It just messes everything up. And so it's not that I'm taking it too serious and I don't want to give breaks. It's just like we didn't sign up to take breaks. And so the board and I are kind of talking right now. I think we've already had the conversation. Starting in Madden 24 for sure. We're going to play 5 seasons. That's the goal. 5 seasons, get done May, early June, middle June, somewhere in there, and then take 6-8 weeks off. Give everybody a bit of a breather. Maniac and I have been, hopefully Maniac, keeps sticking with us, and we're going to create some content, do some classic game rewatches, do some other kind of content. I know Raj talked about doing some content. So do some things that we can all stay together and stay plugged in. Maybe do a side league for those who want to play in a league. We'll have things to keep you engaged, but not the full blow, pushing hard to get 3 advances every 2 days, all that stuff. I feel like 5 is the number. Let's get to 5, take a bit of a break. And I've changed over the years on that. I used to be the guy that we never take a break because it is hard to restart. It's hard to get going again. It's hard to get replugged in again. But I think the older I've gotten, the older the league has gotten, right? We've all aged together. The break seems to be more and more needed. We'll see what we're doing this Madden. I want to see how we finish as a community with this season. But overall, I've been disappointed. I've been disappointed in the engagement. We've got all of this content getting created, whether it's from Maniac, whether it's from Cincyberg and Big Herd, me and Trey. So many guys are writing articles. There's so much good content out there, and the engagement recently has just been lackluster, to say the least. And to see so many teams needing a break, asking for a break, telling us that they're not going to be around, going on CPU, it's just all the FPR issues, which Trey's already talked about. We've got so many coming out. Teams who are used to winning, they lose and they're hard, but then teams win and then they don't give any report, but there was FPR issues, and trying to find that balance of you need to report it. I can't do anything. I can't help owners if things aren't reported, and we don't need to be so hard about every dotting every I and crossing every T. And sometimes you just need to be yo, it was one play, it was one mistake. I'll message the owner, because we have a system. And if you submit something, and even if it's a minor thing, if it's found to be a thing, we have a system and players get suspended. And so it's really think through, when can I have a conversation on the side and move things forward in a productive way, and when are things to such a place that I need to submit them, because there needs to be some type of punishment behind this to get people going. And ultimately,
perfect example to that, Nate, was my game with Bird. There was a play that I thought was questionable because of something that happened, and it was just a simple message to you to figure it out. And then after I told him, hey, what you did, it's okay, but you got to be careful with how you do it, because if a certain thing happens, that makes it more of a bad play in your behalf. And it was a simple, okay, cool, thanks for letting me know. It was as simple as that, and it figured the problem out. I accepted what it was. That's my bad for throwing a pass that got intercepted on a zone that I expected to be dropped off. But, like you said, he had no underneath coverage. He has the right to play the guy.
Yeah, it's just finding that balance, and something I guess we all have to kind of work on, but we'll figure it out together. I'm hoping that we can turn the corner. There's so many good games. There's been so many classic games get submitted. There's a lot of good stuff to be plugged in here, and I know this, like a lot of Maddens, has been tough. It's been tough on me, friends. I've rebuilt this franchise 3 times, including one that took 60 hours of just my time. And Maniac put in a lot of guys put in a ton of work. And I'm still dealing with issues with my team. I don't know why it's my team, but yeah, I'm still dealing with issues on the rebuild that have affected my cap and contracts, all kinds of craziness that have happened. So Maniac, I know, was one of those teams. Raj was one of those teams. The Broncos are one of those teams. Anyway, I'm just saying it's been a tough Madden for all of us. I still do this because it's fun. and I have fun, and I hope owners, other adults can understand why taking a long extended break is tough, because it just throws everything off. And I've given those breaks, and I'll continue to try to find ways to meet you where you are. But at the same time, we got 31 other guys to kind of think about. So it is what it is. Guys, I love you. I appreciate you, Trey. Thank you for another really great show. Come hang out with me tonight if you're around 9:30, somewhere in there. We're going to have Saints and Sinners, Nate versus Kevin. Big NFC South showdown. 4-2 Saints, 4-2 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This one's going to go a long way. Falcons right there at 3-3. It's going to go a long way. Panthers are right there too, but he's got a bit of a medical issue. I'm thinking about my guy Black Panther, and that may keep him from playing for a week or two. Advances Madden weeks or two while he try to heal up, and he physically can't play because of a situation. So, all right, guys, we'll see you later. Appreciate you. You matter. I love you. We'll see you in the next one. All right, peace.
Smash that like and subscribe.